Have you ever paused and genuinely wondered what truly separates those who achieve extraordinary things from everyone else? It's rarely about being the smartest person in the room or even the one working the longest hours, and it certainly doesn't feel like pure luck, does it?
No, not usually.
So what is their secret?
It's a question that plagues so many of us, you know? That feeling of watching someone seemingly ordinary accomplish something remarkable and just thinking, how did they do that?
Right.
We've all encountered those individuals who seem to operate on a different plane.
And that's precisely the fascinating paradox we're unraveling today. We're taking a deep dive into David J. Schwartz's foundational work, The Magic of Thinking Big.
A classic.
Absolutely. And this isn't just another self-help book to skim. It's a practical, no-nonsense guide to truly unlocking the immense power of your own mind.
Yeah.
Our mission for you today is to pull out its timeless principles, make them ridiculously easy and, well, fun to grasp, show you their deeper meaning beyond the surface, and most importantly, equip you with actionable steps. We want you to walk away from this deep dive feeling truly enlightened and ready to ignite some serious motivation.
And the book starts with such a compelling case right in its preface. Schwartz introduces us to Harry, a salesman who, by all accounts, was pretty average, not smarter, didn't work harder, didn't even have a better sales territory. Yet Harry earned 5 times the average income of his colleagues.
5 times.
5 times. The core difference. Harry thought 5 times bigger. Simple as that.
That story really forces you to reevaluate everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It immediately tells you that success isn't just about your IQ or how much grit you've got, maybe.
Yeah.
It's about the sheer scale of your thinking.
Yeah.
And Schwartz makes a stark point. The world around us often tries to herd us down second-class street, where little thinking thrives.
Oh, yeah. You hear it all the time. Too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Exactly. But as successful people across all fields will tell you, the truth is the exact opposite. There are far too many Indians, as he puts it, and not nearly enough chiefs.
That environment of little thinking can be so insidious. It whispers in your ear to be resigned, to accept that whatever will be, and that your destiny is somehow outside your control. It convinces people that the competition is fierce, that you're fighting for scraps at the bottom. But the reality is, First Class Avenue, the path to truly big success, is surprisingly short and uncrowded.
Really?
Yeah, there are countless vacancies for those who dare to think big. And this deep dive is going to show you exactly how to find that path, starting with its absolute bedrock principle.
You know, what always strikes me when I think about success isn't just raw talent or endless hours, but something far less tangible. What does Schwartz pinpoint as the absolute bedrock, the foundational concept we need to get our minds around first?
He puts it simply, almost deceptively so. Belief. Believe you can succeed, and you will. It's not just a positive thought. It's about generating actual, tangible power. When you genuinely believe I can do it, the how to do it truly does begin to develop naturally.
It's like your mind starts searching for the path once it believes it exists.
Exactly. It's as if your mind, once convinced of the goal's achievability, starts actively seeking out pathways.
And he frames this brilliantly with the concept of a belief thermostat.
Yeah.
I love this analogy.
Me too.
Think of it as your mind's internal regulator dictating your accomplishments.
Yeah.
If it's set to mediocrity, that's precisely what you'll achieve.
Yep. That's your baseline.
The challenge isn't just to want more, but to consciously, actively adjust that thermostat forward, to set a new default for what you expect from yourself. That's like a mental upgrade.
He illustrates this with such a clear example. A $5 million engineering project to design 8 bridges. Huge project.
Wow.
The largest, most established firms, those with all the resources, they convinced themselves it was an impossible win. Too complex, too much competition, whatever.
No.
So they didn't even bother to submit proposals.
Didn't even try.
Didn't even try.
Yeah.
Yet smaller, more agile firms who believed in their capacity, they stepped up and they succeeded.
That's amazing. It shows how a lack of belief isn't just passive. It actively triggers the power not to do.
Right. It slams the door shut before you even get near it. It effectively prevents opportunity before it even knocks.
It's almost self-sabotage, isn't it? And when you connect this to feats like space exploration, which Schwartz highlights as a modern mountain-moving accomplishment, it becomes even clearer.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the essential ingredient driving those scientists to pursue something so seemingly impossible? It was a firm, unwavering belief that space could be mastered, that they could reach the moon.
Without that conviction, the courage, the enthusiasm, the sheer interest needed to push forward simply wouldn't have existed. Belief isn't just a hopeful thought. It's the engine of all human progress, really, whether in science or business.
So if belief is this critical, how do we actively make sure our personal thermostat is set to first class? How do we, build that?
Schwartz introduces a really memorable concept for actionable steps: taming Mr. Triumph and firing Mr. Defeat.
Okay, I like that.
He describes them as foremen in your mind. Mr. Triumph represents all your positive I can do it thoughts. Mr. Defeat is that nagging, negative, I can't do it voice.
We all know Mr. Defeat.
Oh, yeah. And the more work you give either of them, the stronger they become. They feed on attention.
And the explicit advice, which is simple but requires constant effort, is to fire Mr. Defeat.
Yep. Pink slip.
This means actively choosing to feed Mr. Triumph. It's about consciously focusing on positive thoughts, on the reasons why you can succeed, rather than dwelling on the obstacles.
It's a muscle you have to build. The more you consciously direct your thoughts towards the positive, the stronger that positive pathway becomes, almost effortlessly over time.
You see this transformation so vividly in the personal anecdote of the tool and die worker from Detroit.
Oh, that's a great story.
He felt stuck, a middle-class failure, constantly hurting inside about not providing more for his family. His breakthrough came when he deliberately analyzed his successful friends, not out of envy, but curiosity.
He asked himself, what do they have that I don't?
Exactly. Yeah. And it wasn't intelligence or even special connections. He realized his lack of initiative, his inability to get ahead, stemmed from a profound lack of belief in his own worth.
He'd spent years preaching to himself why he couldn't get ahead, feeding Mr. Defeat constantly.
Right. Rather than focusing on why he could, the moment he made that mental shift, his entire life began to turn around.
That story really drives home the book's core message right from the start. To truly launch yourself towards success, you first have to embrace the belief that you can succeed, and then, just as crucially, actively defeat disbelief.
It means aiming for big results by believing big. It means consciously making your mind produce positive thoughts.
Yeah.
And then it's about developing a concrete, self-administered success-building program that's rooted in this unwavering belief. Your daily life becomes your laboratory, really, where you observe, experiment, and apply these truths, starting with yourself.
So we've established belief as our foundation. But what are the subtle, pervasive forces that constantly chip away at that belief? That's where Schwartz introduces us to excusitis.
Excusitis, I love that term. He so aptly calls it the failure disease.
It really is. It's this widespread mental habit of finding alibis to save face, to rationalize why we're not achieving what we want, making excuses.
And what's truly eye-opening is that highly successful individuals, despite facing often immense challenges and setbacks, almost never resort to these common excuses.
Yeah, think about it. Franklin D. Roosevelt could have let his lifeless legs define him, but he led a nation through war. Harry Truman had no college education, yet he rose to the highest office.
John F. Kennedy faced skepticism for being too young for the presidency. Even Lyndon Johnson and Dwight D. Eisenhower, both of whom suffered heart attacks.
Right. They could have retreated behind health issues, yet they didn't. Schwartz argues that like any disease, excusitis worsens if left untreated. Recognizing its symptoms in ourselves is the absolute first step towards a cure.
Okay, let's really dig into the four most common forms of this thought disease and, more importantly, the specific cures Schwartz prescribes.
Sounds good. First up, the insidious health excusitis. This is that pervasive excuse. I've had a bad heart, or I don't feel good, or I need to take it easy.
We hear variations all the time.
Absolutely. Many people surrender to this, allowing perceived ailments to dictate their lives. But successful individuals simply don't.
You see this vividly when you contrast certain individuals. Schwartz tells of a man in Cleveland who constantly complained about his undiagnosed heart issues, endlessly visiting doctors, finding no relief.
Practically living to be sick.
Yeah. Then there's the passenger on a plane with a pacemaker who, despite a serious condition, focused on living fully and enjoying his work, stating, "I'm not going to think myself to bed."
What a difference. Or the college educator with only one arm who declared powerfully, the right attitude in one arm will beat the wrong attitude in two arms every time.
Wow. It's a profound difference in perspective. The sheer decision to live actively.
And the cure for health excusitis comes in 4 potent doses for you. First, refuse to talk about your health.
Really? Just stop talking about it.
Yeah. Talking about ailments is like fertilizing weeds. It makes things worse, and honestly, it bores other people. Second, refuse to worry about your health. Dr. Walter Alvarez of the Mayo Clinic advised patients to stop excessive worrying and testing, as it often compounds perceived problems into real ones.
Okay.
Third, be genuinely grateful for the health you do have. That old saying, "I felt sorry for myself because I had righted shoes until I met a man who had no feet," really puts things into perspective.
Gratitude is powerful.
Immensely. And finally, fourth, remind yourself it's better to wear out than rust out. Embrace activity and living fully rather than thinking yourself into illness and missing out on life.
Okay, dose number 2, intelligence excusitis. This is the one where people throw up their hands and say, but you've got to have brains to succeed.
Right, often underestimating their own mental horsepower and ironically overestimating everyone else's.
Yeah.
The crucial insight here, which Schwartz hammers home, is that it's not about the quantity of intelligence you possess, but how you actually use the intelligence you have.
How you apply it.
Exactly. He says, the thinking that guides your intelligence is much more important than how much intelligence you may have.
It really challenges that traditional view of intelligence, doesn't it?
It does. Dr. Edward Teller, a brilliant physicist, even stated that a scientist doesn't need a lightning-fast mind or a miraculous memory, but rather a high degree of interest.
Interest and enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm and attitude are absolutely critical, even in the most intellectual fields. Schwartz gives the example of Phil, an employee whose positive attitude, sheer enthusiasm, and understanding of people made him 3 times more valuable than colleagues who tested higher on IQ scores.
Wow, that reframes knowledge is power.
Totally. Because knowledge is only potential power. It's valuable only when put to constructive use. Henry Ford famously illustrated this when asked how many feet were in a mile. He valued knowing how to get information over simply memorizing facts.
So how do we cure this mental block? What's the prescription?
Schwartz offers 3 straightforward ways for you. First, never underestimate your own brain power. You probably have more raw capacity than you give yourself credit for.
Okay.
Second, never overestimate the other fella's brain power. They're human too, with their own doubts and limitations.
Right.
And third, and most importantly, remember that thinking power, the ability to apply and use your mind, is far more important than mere intelligence. It's about applied intelligence and the drive to use what you've got.
Got it. Our third common excuse is age excusitis. The classic, I'm too old or I'm too young complaint.
Ah, yes, the age card. The deeper meaning here is that age is fundamentally a mental construct, a number we allow to dictate our limits. Schwartz firmly states, it's too late only when you let your mind go negative and think it's too late. The productive years of life stretch far longer than most people realize. He says roughly from 20 to 70.
And the stories here are just so inspiring. Take the 45-year-old man who, despite his age, family responsibilities, and limited money, decided he wanted to become a minister.
Yeah, against the odds.
5 years later, he was ordained, feeling every bit as young as I did 25 years ago. Or the 51-year-old stockbroker who returned to university and became a hugely successful economics professor at Harvard.
At Harvard, saying, I've got almost a third of my good years left. What confidence!
Incredible. Then there's Jerry, the young sales manager leading older, more experienced employees, who was simply advised not to make his age a handicap.
Their common thread. They chose to defy the mental limits of age and simply acted.
So what's the cure for age excusitis?
It involves 3 simple steps for you. First, look at your present age positively. Embrace where you are now. Second, calculate your remaining productive years. You might be genuinely surprised how many vibrant, contributing years you have left.
That's a good exercise.
It really is. And third, and this is key, invest your future time in doing what you really want to do. Don't let a number, whether young or old, dictate your ambition or your potential.
All right. Finally, we confront the pervasive luck excusitis. This is the tendency we all have to blame our failures on bad luck, or conversely, attribute others' successes to some random stroke of good luck.
Oh, he just got lucky.
The deeper meaning here is critical. Schwartz argues that success is absolutely not random. It's a law of cause and effect.
Right.
It stems from superior attitudes and good sense in applied hard work. The universe isn't just handing out good or bad fortune. In large part, you create your own.
He illustrates this perfectly with the 3 junior executives who quickly dismissed George C.'s promotion as luck or pull.
Yeah, when the uncomfortable truth was George was simply better qualified and worked harder for it.
Or the salesman who landed that huge, like $112,000 order after literally months of persistence.
Months, only to be told by a struggling colleague, you're lucky again.
Ugh.
The struggling salesman failed to see the diligent, consistent effort that created that luck. It's about seeing the effort, not just the outcome.
So the cure for luck excusitis. 2 straightforward steps for you. First, accept the law of cause and effect. Understand that positive outcomes are almost always the result of consistent, intelligent effort over time.
Yeah.
And second, don't be a wishful thinker. Don't expect good things to just happen to you without putting in the necessary effort. The world, as Schwartz says, rewards action, not just passive desire or hope.
So belief is the foundation. Excuses are the weeds we need to pull. Now, how do we build something truly powerful within ourselves?
Exactly. That leads us to building confidence and absolutely destroying fear. Schwartz calls fear success enemy number 1, and for good reason.
It really can be paralyzing.
It doesn't just stop opportunity. It drains vitality and can even manifest as physical illness.
Yeah.
Fear is real, but the good news is it can be cured.
You know, I think we've all felt that paralyzing grip of fear, whether it's for a big presentation or a crucial decision. And what's so powerful here is Schwartz's critical insight. Action cures fear.
Boom. Right there.
Indecision, postponement, on the other hand, fertilize fear. It's not just a clever phrase, it's a profound truth.
Think about that dramatic Navy diving board training scenario he shares, where young men were accidentally pushed off diving boards to conquer their fear.
Yeah, that was intense.
The direct action of falling defeated the fear of the fall. The fear was in the waiting, the indecision, the thought of it.
And it applies directly to everyday situations, too. He talks about an executive troubled by job insecurity.
Right. He didn't overcome his fear by hoping it would go away, but by actively working to boost sales figures and by exploring other job offers as a personal insurance policy.
So he took concrete action.
Concrete action. His confidence soared, and he ended up staying and succeeding in his original job. The point is, when we face tough problems, we often stay mired in the mud of our fear until we actually take action. Hope is a start, but it needs action to win victories.
So how do we put this into practice? Schwartz gives us some incredibly practical tools for building confidence. For you, the first is to manage your memory bank.
Ooh, I like this one. He describes your mind as a memory teller, and it will give you back whatever you deposit.
So garbage in, garbage out, essentially.
Pretty much. The actionable implementation here is profound. Consciously, deposit only positive thoughts. When successful people face unpleasant situations, they consciously don't give it another thought.
They just let it go.
They let it go. Dwelling on negatives, he says, is like putting dirt in your car's crankcase, creating mental monsters that break down your confidence.
Right. The book tells the story of a psychologist who helped a woman overcome profound unhappiness by teaching her to stop constantly drawing negatives from her memory bank and instead deliberately recall pleasant experiences.
Your mind wants to forget the unpleasant if you just cooperate with it. It's designed that way.
Okay, second tool. Overcome your fear of other people. Often our fear of others stems from judging them as superior, putting them on a pedestal.
Yeah, we intimidate ourselves, the solution. First, put them in proper perspective. Remember, the other person is a human being, just like you, with similar interests, problems, and insecurities.
He highlights the confident job applicant who saw the interviewer as an equal, not a superior, and thus performed better.
Exactly. And second, develop an understanding attitude. Assume the other person has a good heart, even if their behavior seems difficult or abrasive on the surface.
That can be tough sometimes.
It can. But he shares an anecdote about a hotel clerk who showed remarkable temper control when verbally abused by a furious customer. The clerk understood the customer wasn't mad at him, but at something else entirely, acting as a scapegoat.
Yeah, perspective.
Yeah. The clerk's insight was, underneath, he's probably a very nice guy. Most folks are. That perspective allows you to hold your fire, maintain your composure, and ultimately win the interaction.
Thirdly, increase self-confidence by satisfying your conscience. The core idea is simple. Don't do anything that violates your conscience, as guilt jams your thought processes.
Oh yeah, guilt is a confidence killer. It's incredibly hard to think straight, to be confident, when your mind is constantly asking, will I get caught?
Doing what's right, even when it's harder, is a highly practical rule for success, leading to clear thinking, peace of mind, and repeat interactions.
The story of the cheating student illustrates how a guilty conscience can paralyze performance, but choosing integrity, even if it means temporary discomfort, leads to true clarity and confidence.
And here's where it gets truly transformative. Think confidently by acting confidently. This is one of Schwartz's most compelling insights. Motions are the engineers of emotions.
Yes, your physical actions can literally change your attitudes, your internal state. He argues you actually feel more like smiling if you make yourself smile, or more self-assured when you stand tall.
It's not about faking it till you make it in a dishonest way, but using physical cues to trigger desired mental and emotional states.
Exactly. And he gives us 5 incredibly specific, actionable steps for you to implement right away.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, be a front seater. Sit up front in meetings, classrooms, or wherever you are. This simple act shows engagement and interest, projecting confidence before you even say a word.
I like that one. Easy to do.
Second, make eye contact. It projects honesty, self-assurance, and makes others feel seen and respected. Third, walk 25% faster.
Really? Walk faster.
Yeah. This psychologically makes you feel more important and confident, and interestingly, others perceive you that way too. He notes how down and outers often shuffle.
Okay, what else?
Fourth, practice speaking up. A lack of confidence often makes people conference clams, as he calls them, remaining silent in groups. Speaking up, even if it's just a comment or ask a thoughtful question at every meeting you attend, builds confidence. Don't fear looking foolish. The more you speak up, the easier it gets.
Makes sense. Build the muscle.
And fifth, smile big. A genuine, teeth-showing smile, not a rubbery smile, beats fear, rolls away worry, defeats despondency. It melts opposition, as shown by the car fender bender anecdote, where a big smile completely diffused intense anger.
Wow.
And it powerfully makes you feel happier. Even when you don't feel like it, force yourself to smile. It's a true self-supercharger.
Okay, those are great practical steps. Building on that foundation of confidence, the next crucial element Schwartz unpacks is creative thinking.
Right. The core idea here is that creative thinking is rooted in one fundamental belief, that something can be done.
It starts with possibility.
Exactly. It's about focusing on finding solutions and new ways forward, rather than fixating on perceived limitations.
It really challenges your preconceived notions, doesn't it? The deeper meaning is that believing in a solution literally paves the way for creative answers to emerge.
Yeah. Thinking it can't be done is destructive. It slams the door shut on your mind's potential. Schwartz shares this amazing eliminate jails experiment,
Oh, I remember that one.
where a group, initially convinced it was an impossible task, generated numerous creative solutions once they were simply asked to believe it was possible. The shift in belief opened the floodgates.
And the personal anecdote of the college student really drives this home. This young man thought finishing college was impossible due to his age, family responsibilities, financial constraints.
All the typical roadblocks. But once he committed to the belief, I must go back to school, his mind ignited. He found a solution, a scholarship, a rearranged schedule, even his wife's support.
It powerfully shows that where there's a will, there truly is a way. And that will begins with an unwavering belief in possibility.
So how do we actively cultivate this creative mindset for ourselves? Schwartz gives us several actionable steps. First, and perhaps most importantly, eliminate the word impossible from your vocabulary.
Just ditch it.
Ditch it. It's a failure word that triggers negative chain reactions in your mind, shutting down possibilities before you even have a chance to explore them.
Okay, what's next?
Second, don't let tradition paralyze your mind. Be receptive to new ideas, even if they challenge the way things have always been done. Tradition, as Schwartz explains, has a way of freezing your mind, preventing new, innovative ideas from sprouting.
So be open.
Be open. The practical application here is to actively welcome new ideas, consciously destroying any won't-work repellents you might have. Become an experimental person, break routines, expose yourself to new experiences, try a new restaurant, read a different genre of book, take an alternate route to work. Be progressive, not regressive.
I like that. Progressive, not regressive. Third,
practice the I can do better philosophy. Constantly asking yourself, how can I do better, acts as a switch, turning on your creative power.
like constant improvement.
Exactly. He cites a highly successful store owner whose weekly improvement plan was simply focused on how can I attract more customers. This led to innovations like adding a children's toy line, which significantly boosted store traffic. It's about making progress your most important product, just like GE's famous slogan.
Fourth, related to that, is to practice the I can do more philosophy.
Right. Schwartz argues that your work capacity is fundamentally a state of mind. Believing you can do more isn't just wishful thinking, it actively shows you the way to do more.
He gives the example of a young bank executive who took on a departed colleague's job on top of his own.
Yeah, and by doing so, discovered his own inefficiencies and significantly increased his output and value, leading to a major promotion. The advice is to eagerly accept opportunities and then focus on how to do more through better planning, intelligent shortcuts, or by dropping non-essential activities.
Fifth, and this is such a brilliant insight for anyone looking to grow.
Yeah.
Practice asking and listening.
So crucial. Schwartz points out, big people monopolize the listening, small people monopolize the talking.
Ouch. That's blunt.
But true, often. Actively asking and genuinely listening feeds your mind with invaluable raw material for creative thought and better decision-making. He tells of an executive who solved his most pressing management problem simply by asking his team for ideas and then truly listening to their responses.
Remember the sign he mentions. To sell John Brown what John Brown buys, you've got to see things through John Brown's eye.
Exactly. You learn absolutely nothing from telling, but you can learn limitless amounts from asking and listening.
Sixth, stretch your mind. Get stimulated. This means actively seeking out new ideas by associating with people who think differently than you do.
Get outside your bubble. He shares the remarkable story of an accountant who transformed a 50-acre farm into a huge profit venture back when that was a massive sum by deliberately mixing with people outside his field and leveraging their ideas about real estate, trees, and plotting.
Wow. So the practical application is?
Join professional groups outside your immediate field and regularly mix with people of different occupational and social interests to constantly broaden your thinking.
And finally, a truly crucial step, once you have those sparks of inspiration, harness your ideas.
Don't let them float away. Ideas, Schwartz warns, are highly perishable, like acorns. They need nurturing to grow into something substantial.
So what do we do?
The actionable steps are, first, write them down immediately so they don't escape, capture them. Second, review them regularly, filing them, examining them, and discarding those that clearly have no promise. And critically, third, cultivate and fertilize them by shaping them on paper, identifying any loopholes, polishing them, and learning how to effectively sell them to others. He gives the example of two insurance salesmen. One had a mere pitch, the other a detailed, well-thought-out plan. Which one do you think secured the big business?
One with the plan, obviously.
Right. Your ideas only gain value when you act on them and develop them.
Moving now from personal confidence and creative thinking to how your self-perception and environment profoundly shape your reality. This is a truly profound idea from the book. Your identity, in essence, becomes what you believe it to be.
You are what you think you are. Your self-perception actually dictates how others see and treat you. As he says, others see in us what we see in ourselves.
It's all about how you project yourself, whether you realize it or not. The book highlights the simple yet powerful act of respecting your appearance.
Yeah, your appearance, he argues, is your first ambassador. It communicates your self-respect, your efficiency, your perceived importance before you even open your mouth.
The slogan he quotes, "Dress right, you can't afford not to," underscores its undeniable impact on how others judge you.
Absolutely. He gives the relatable example of grapes packaged in appealing polyethylene bags selling twice as well just because they look better that way. Presentation matters.
And you can apply this directly in your own life. Contrast the shabby-looking fellow who receives no special consideration with someone who looks important, who looks put together.
The difference in treatment can be huge. The actionable step here for you is clear. Adopt the principle, pay twice as much and buy half as many for quality over quantity in your wardrobe.
It's an investment.
It's an investment, and it directly boosts your self-respect and inevitably the respect others have for you.
Next, and this is so important for your career trajectory, is to think your work is important. Your attitude towards your current job speaks volumes about you.
Remember the famous story of the 3 bricklayers?
Oh yeah, classic.
One saw himself laying bricks, another building a wall, but only the third saw himself constructing a great cathedral. Only that third bricklayer had a big view of his work, and it transformed his entire perspective.
And this isn't just philosophical, it's incredibly practical.
Yeah.
Personnel firms actively seek applicants who demonstrate they value their current job.
Right. Executives assess your potential for promotion by keenly observing what kind of job is he doing where he is now.
Schwartz says if you genuinely think your job is important, you receive mental signals on how to do your job better, which inevitably leads to more promotions and prestige.
He distinguishes between Group A employees focused on progress and ideas and Group B focused on security and complaints. Group A, he emphasizes, is invariably recommended for promotions.
Your thinking about your work directly affects how you work and how far you go.
And to truly supercharge yourself, you need to give yourself a pep talk several times daily. The core idea is simple. To be at the top, you need to feel like you're at the top.
Like internal cheerleading.
Exactly. Self-administered pep talks are absolutely crucial for this self-supercharging. He tells the story of a shy automobile salesman who described how he literally talked to himself in a vacant car before phone calls.
Telling himself he was a good car salesman and would get results.
And it worked. It completely transformed his phone calls and his sales.
Another powerful example is the trainee who fumbled a speech, feeling completely defeated. But then he used a brief, hard-hitting pep talk to himself and delivered a splendid second presentation.
The actionable step here is to build your own sell yourself to yourself commercial. Just as Coca-Cola constantly resells itself on its value, you must resell yourself on your own worth.
Model it on Tom Staley's 60-second commercial, where he directly addresses himself, listing his assets and forcefully stating his positive attributes.
Identify your own assets, write them down directly addressing yourself, and practice it forcefully out loud daily. This daily self-praise builds an inner sense of importance and capability that others will absolutely pick up on.
Okay, so we've got self-perception. Beyond that, the environment around you plays an enormous, often unrecognized role. This brings us to managing your environment, going first class.
Yes. Your mind, Schwartz argues, is incredibly sensitive. It reflects what its environment feeds it. Your personality, your attitudes, your ambitions are constantly shaped by your environment.
Which can either tug you down to second-class street or actively lift you up.
Precisely. The book identifies 3 groups of people based on how they respond to these environmental influences. Those who surrendered completely, rationalizing their mediocrity.
Yeah.
Those who surrendered partially, talented individuals who are afraid to run. And the rare 2-3% who never surrender and truly live successfully.
The crucial message here is that you have a conscious choice in shaping your environment, or at least how you interact with it.
Absolutely. So how do we strategically manage this environment to our benefit? First, and vitally important, immunize yourself against negators.
The negative Nancys and doubting Thomases.
Exactly. These are people who, whether intentionally or not, delight in sabotaging the positive progress of others. They can be well-meaning friends or family, but they are still detrimental to your mindset.
Schwartz recounts his college experience with WW, a highly intelligent but 100% sour friend who constantly presented pessimistic views of success.
Almost causing Schwartz himself to ditch his own convictions until he realized WW was an object lesson in failure.
Wow. The actionable advice here is to be extra careful about who you spend your time with. If a carpool or any frequent interaction like a lunch group or a social circle is poisoning your mind with complaints and negativity,
you need to change it. He tells the story of an office worker who changed his carpool to escape a constant complainer, and it completely transformed his workday experience.
You are, in part, judged by the company you keep, and your mind is certainly shaped by it.
Second, make it a rule to seek advice from people who know. The deeper meaning here is that genuinely successful people are generally humble and eager to help, especially since they want their work and their legacy to live on.
It's often the would-be big people, those who haven't quite made it yet, who are hardest to approach or too busy.
Right. He recounts an executive who explicitly stated there's no do not disturb sign on my office door because counseling is a key function of true leadership. Don't risk your future with freelance advisors who are themselves living failures. Seek out those who have demonstrably succeeded in the areas you want to grow.
Third, and this is so important for your overall well-being, get plenty of psychological sunshine. Your home environment and social life significantly impact your mental well-being and your drive for success.
Unplanned, boring weekends, for example, often lead to cabin fever and a general sense of negativity. Compare John's stimulating, planned weekends, lectures, museums, country drives, new experiences, with Milton's dull, repetitive ones, sleeping in and watching too much TV.
John gains psychological sunshine, while Milton experiences psychological warfare. That's a great distinction.
It really is. The actionable step here for you is to actively seek out new groups, new organizations, and new friends. Variety truly adds spice to life and, critically, broadens your thinking, constantly feeding your mind positively.
Fourth, throw thought poison out of your environment, and that means avoiding gossip.
Gossip. Schwartz called it thought poison. It affects your mind, reduces your thinking size, warps your perspectives, and creates guilt. He calls it 100% wrong thinking.
The analogy he uses is so stark. Taking an axe and chopping your neighbor's furniture to pieces won't make your furniture look one bit better, and using verbal axes to tear down others won't make you one bit better.
So true. The simple implementation for you is to make it a rule. Talk about people, but only on the positive side. Take the gossiper test to self-monitor your conversations. Gossip is negative conversation that not only diminishes others, but makes you increasingly unlikable and shrinks your own thinking.
And finally, a principle that ties so much of this together: go first class in everything you do.
This isn't just about luxury or spending excessively. It's about developing an instinct for quality in all areas of your life.
Right. It often costs no more, and sometimes even less, than second class in the long run. He gives examples like the man who saved $25 on a bargain automatic transmission that quickly broke down.
Or the greasy spoon diner that cost almost as much as a high-quality restaurant offering stellar food and service.
And we all know about cut-rate professionals leading to bigger problems and more costly solutions down the line.
Exactly. The actionable step here is to consciously choose quality. People subconsciously rate you on it, and it subtly reinforces your own sense of self-worth. So by consciously managing your psychological diet,
Choosing empowering associations, seeking quality advice, fostering stimulating experiences, eliminating destructive gossip, and committing to a first-class standard.
this is how your environment actively works to make you successful.
Moving from self-management, the crucial art of influencing others, let's explore how to make your attitudes your allies. Your attitudes, Schwartz says, are mirrors of the mind, reflecting your thinking to others without a single word.
We read minds through these unspoken appraisals, a deep-seated human ability refined over millions of years of nonverbal communication. It's absolutely true. You don't need to know someone's language to sense I like you or I despise you.
People communicate so much without a sound. How we think manifests directly in how we act. And the first attitude Schwartz urges us to cultivate is the I'm activated attitude.
Which is really just enthusiasm, the core idea. Results come in proportion to enthusiasm applied. To inspire others, you must first be genuinely enthusiastic yourself.
He provides such a vivid contrast. There's the history professor whose sheer boredom infected his entire class, leading to students talking and even sleeping.
Painful to imagine. Compare that with a Red Cross drive captain who, through genuine enthusiasm and compelling stories of human impact, inspired significant donations without resorting to begging.
He simply showed how the Red Cross pitches in when disaster strikes, and his passion was contagious.
So how do we actually build this enthusiasm? Schwartz gives us a 3-step process for you. First, dig into it deeper. If you lack enthusiasm for something, whether it's a project, a person, or a new place, learn more about it. Understanding truly fosters interest.
He talks about learning to appreciate modern art or even bumblebees. The more you know, the more interested and even enthusiastic you become.
Apply this to people in new communities. Truly understanding something new often ignites your enthusiasm for it. Second, lift up everything about you. Infuse enthusiasm into your physical expressions and your demeanor.
This means cultivating that big, genuine, teeth-showing smile, not a rubbery smile, that beats fear, rolls away worry, defeats despondency, melting opposition.
It means lifting up your thank yous, making them sincere and heartfelt, not just automatic. And it means lifting up your talk, consciously using stronger, more positive, more optimistic words. Avoid weak or dull language that saps energy.
And third, a powerful daily habit: broadcast good news.
Yes. Good news instantly captures attention and pleases people. It actively develops enthusiasm in others and, crucially, in yourself. He tells of Mills Lane Jr., a prominent banker who would greet customers with, "How's your money?" to broadcast optimism.
To inject a positive tone from the start.
A factory president had a desk maxim: give me a good word or none at all, and give them a good word or none at all. Share positive updates with your family, speak favorably about the weather regardless of what it is, and consciously be an I feel great person. Schwartz says simply saying it makes you feel better.
The second powerful attitude is the you are important attitude. The core idea is that every single human being deeply, fundamentally craves importance.
It's universal. Satisfying this craving in others is a fundamental, yet surprisingly rarely used tool for your own success, and it costs absolutely nothing.
Many people, sadly, default to a you are a nobody attitude towards others, subtly believing he can't do anything for me, therefore he's not important.
But Schwartz calls this a profound blunder. There are 2 giant reasons why cultivating this attitude pays off for you. First, People do more for you when you make them feel important.
The bus driver who showed special courtesy only to the passenger who regularly made him feel important is a great, simple example.
Secretaries, customers, colleagues, they will go out of their way to help you if you consistently make them feel valued. And second, and this is truly powerful.
When you help others feel important, you help yourself feel important too.
Exactly. He shares the anecdote of the elevator operator who was transformed from a look of complete unimportance to one of purpose, simply because the author consistently made her feel important. Your own self-importance grows when you empower and elevate others.
People who lack a deep-down feeling of self-importance are, he warns, slated for mediocrity.
The actionable steps here are threefold for you. First, practice appreciation. Make it a firm rule to express sincere appreciation for what others do. Never let anyone feel their effort is taken for granted. And crucially, pass praise from superiors down to your subordinates. Let the good news flow.
Okay.
Second, practice calling people by their names. People absolutely love to be addressed by name. It gives them a real psychological boost. Ensure you pronounce and spell names correctly, using appropriate titles like Mr., Miss, or Mrs.
And third, don't hog glory. Invest it instead. This is such a counterintuitive but powerful principle.
It really is. Share credit for successes with your subordinates and your team. When you genuinely share praise, they feel truly valued and are immensely motivated for even greater performance. The sales convention example highlights district managers who share glory with their teams, directly leading to greater collective success for everyone.
And the final attitude ally is the service-first attitude. The core idea here is deceptively simple. Focus on giving more than expected, and money takes care of itself, always.
This isn't just a nice thought, it's a profoundly practical business strategy that builds long-term success.
The book contrasts the gas station attendant who, without being asked, cleaned the inside of the auto's windshield, small extra service.
Which planted a money seed and brought repeat business. Compare that with FH, the employee preoccupied with why he needed more money, instead of finding ways to earn more by putting in extra effort, by giving more value.
The belief only a fool does something he isn't paid for is truly failure thinking.
Absolutely. Money seeds are any actions that add value or exceed expectations, and the actionable step for you is to ask yourself every single day, how can I give more than is expected of me? And then, crucially, apply the answers.
Okay, attitudes are crucial. Beyond your own attitudes, your success absolutely hinges on the support of others. That's why thinking right toward people is not just good manners, but a strategic imperative.
It really is. In any promotion or selection process, the likability factor is almost always the first and most weighted consideration, even over technical competence. You simply can't buy genuine friendship or loyalty. It must be earned through sincere, authentic connection.
This is a fundamental truth in almost every walk of life. You can be the most technically competent person, but if you're not likable, if people don't want to be around you, you won't get the support, the opportunities, or the promotions you need.
Schwartz's rule for you to make yourself lighter to lift is key. People naturally prefer to be around individuals who are comfortable, relaxed, not egotistical, and genuinely interesting.
So actively cultivate these qualities. Ease, a relaxed demeanor, genuine interest in others, humility, and the ability to heal misunderstandings. Practice liking people genuinely. Never miss an opportunity to congratulate them on a success or sympathize with a setback.
Next, take the initiative in building friendships. The core idea is simple. Say pleasant things to strangers. This simple, often overlooked act warms you up and makes you feel better, and it opens doors.
He gives 6 actionable ways for you to do this.
Yeah. First, introduce yourself at every opportunity. Don't wait. Second, ensure the other person gets your name straight. Third, pronounce their name correctly. Fourth, write down their name and perhaps contact info for correct spelling and future reference.
Important details.
Very. Fifth, follow up with a personal note or call if appropriate. And sixth, yes, say pleasant things to strangers. Don't be afraid to be unusual or timid in meeting people. The average person typically waits to be introduced. Be the initiator.
Third, and this is so important for your own mental health as much as for your relationships. Think only good thoughts about people.
Oh, yeah. No one is perfect. Don't fall into the trap of expecting perfection, and don't dislike people for their minor differences in habits, clothes, or beliefs. Don't try to be a reformer who points out everyone's flaws.
Your mind, as the book explains, has 2 channels. Channel P, positive, and Channel N, negative. One negative thought can trigger a whole chain reaction of similar negative thoughts about a person.
And you control the channel. The actionable step is that when your thoughts turn negative about someone, you should literally say stop to yourself and consciously switch to channel P by focusing on at least one positive quality about that individual.
He tells of an insurance salesman who succeeded wildly because he genuinely liked his clients, unlike many others who simply feigned interest.
Sol Polk, the legendary appliance king, treated customers like guests in my home, leading to massive sales because his genuine warmth and positive thoughts shone through. Conversely, a consulting firm lost a substantial contract because its consultants allowed negative thoughts about the client to fill their minds before their crucial meeting.
Your thoughts about others are incredibly powerful, broadcasting even when you don't realize it.
Fourth, practice conversation generosity. People universally love to talk about themselves. Give them the opportunity to do so, and they will naturally like you for it.
The actionable step here is simple. Actively encourage others to talk about their views, their opinions, and their accomplishments. This also provides valuable learning for you.
Because, as Schwartz says, you learned absolutely nothing from telling, but limitless amounts from asking and listening.
And finally, a simple but profound principle. Practice courtesy all the time. It makes others feel better, and crucially, it makes you feel better too.
To gain powerful support and influence, then make yourself likable through genuine interest by taking initiative, by maintaining positive thoughts about others, and by always being generous in conversation and courtesy. These are your keys to building truly powerful, supportive relationships.
We've talked about belief, confidence, how to influence others, but none of that truly matters without action. Our next principle is to get the action habit.
Yes. There's a severe shortage of doers in the world, people who actually get things done and, crucially, follow through. As the book so powerfully states, an only fair idea acted upon is 100% better than a terrific idea that dies because it isn't followed up.
That really highlights the clear divide between what Schwartz calls Mr. Activationist, the doer who takes action, and Mr. Passivationist,
The don'ter who postpones, often endlessly waiting for perfect conditions. And of course, those perfect conditions never, ever arrive.
You see this vividly in the story of Jian, who paralyzed his marriage plans by drawing up a 4-page document of stipulations for his future wife.
Seeking an absolute perfection in a partner that simply doesn't exist in human beings. Just waiting.
And compare that to Jian, a young man with a modest income, who didn't wait for perfect. He decided to buy a new home now, despite lacking a down payment.
His sheer resolution to take action ignited his mind to find creative solutions, like a private loan from the builder and extra weekend work. This led directly to his dream home and significantly increased his confidence.
In stark contrast, CD, who endlessly planned to start his own business but never acted, constantly finding excuses for why conditions weren't perfect,
Ultimately developed into a full passivationist, never achieving his dream, just stuck in planning mode forever.
So how do we actively cultivate this vital action habit for ourselves?
First, expect future obstacles. Don't wait for perfection. Every significant venture has risks. Every path has bumps. The successful person doesn't try to eliminate all problems beforehand. They find solutions when problems arise.
It's still excellent advice to cross bridges when you come to them, rather than building them all at the start.
Exactly. Second, make up your mind to do something about your ideas. Good ideas are valuable only when acted upon. Don't let them become ghosts that haunt you.
Like the professor who endlessly planned to write a book but buried the idea under responsibilities, never putting pen to paper.
Give your ideas value by acting on them, by bringing them to life. Third, use action to cure fear and gain confidence. This is a powerful loop. Inaction feeds fear. Action actively destroys it.
The paratrooper instructor noted, "It's the waiting to jump that gets a fellow. Once you're in action, fear disappears."
This applies to public speaking, as Edward R. Murrow experienced. The only true cure for stage fright is the action of getting up and speaking.
Fourth, discover the secret of mind action the mechanical way. Your mind, Schwartz argues, needs to be put in gear.
Don't wait for inspiration or for the spirit to move you. Sit down and move your spirit. Start unpleasant tasks immediately, like doing dishes or making that dreaded phone call.
And critically, use a pencil and paper to focus your mind on complex problems. It's the greatest concentration tool, physically tying your mind to the problem until a solution emerges.
Fifth, capitalize on the magic of NW. Don't postpone. He shares the powerful story of Bill and Janet, a couple who transformed their financial future by committing to saving now, off the top, instead of waiting for perfect conditions to save.
They discover that the magic of now makes things happen immediately, building momentum.
Sixth, strengthen yourself by getting the speak up habit. This ties back to confidence. Speaking up in groups and meetings, whether it's commenting or asking a question at every meeting you attend.
Not only builds confidence, but makes you stand out as an engaged, thoughtful contributor.
And finally, seventh, develop initiative, be a crusader. Don't wait to be told what to do. Actively identify something that needs doing and pick up the ball and run with it.
Harry L. transformed his declining subdivision by taking initiative, calling friends, organizing community projects, and restoring pride.
The actionable step for you, volunteer for special assignments, even if they're uncompensated or outside your job description. This demonstrates ambition and ability, giving you special attention and opening up new opportunities.
Okay, so we're acting, we're being doers. But inevitably, setbacks happen. How do you handle those bumps in the road?
Right. That brings us to how to turn defeat into victory. The core idea is incredibly empowering. Defeat is nothing more than a state of mind.
It's not the event, it's the interpretation.
Precisely. Success is not about avoiding setbacks altogether, but how you react to them. Think about it. Mr. Mediocre feels defeated by setbacks and becomes super cautious, pulling back. But Mr. Success bounces up, learns, and moves forward with renewed vigor.
No high-level success is ever achieved without opposition and hardship.
He shares the incredible story of a management consultant who lost all his savings, literally lived in his office, faced constant rejections. Yet he never complained, saying, "It's not taking something out of me, it's putting something into me instead."
Wow, what a mindset.
He learned and persisted, eventually building a thriving, prosperous company. And the failing student who received a shocking bad grade, but after initial anger, learned the crucial lesson. If you don't produce, you don't get where you want to go. He retook the course, applied himself, and succeeded.
Even physical setbacks aren't defeats unless you let them be. Lionel Barrymore successfully acted from a wheelchair despite constant pain.
W. Colvin Williams, tragically blinded in WWI, didn't let that define him. He became a successful minister and counselor, viewing his blindness as an asset because it gave him deeper insight. Their stories powerfully underscore the sheer power of mindset over circumstances.
So what are the actionable steps for transforming setbacks into powerful stepping stones for you?
First, salvage something from every setback. Don't just blame luck. Instead, actively research what went wrong. Conduct a constructive self-criticism.
Like opera star Rhys Stevens, who, after a major loss, had the courage to face your faults and pinpointed precise areas for improvement.
Blaming others is destructive. Self-criticism, when done constructively, is a powerful tool for growth. Second, blend persistence with intelligent experimentation.
Okay, so stay committed, but don't be stubborn.
Exactly. Stay committed to your ultimate goal, but don't just beat your head against a wall with the exact same failing approach. He tells of a writer who wrote 62 unsold pieces. Persistent, but not experimental. He needed to try new approaches, new genres.
Oil companies persist by drilling new wells, not by digging one hole to ridiculous depths.
Great analogy. If something isn't working, take a beat and then try a new approach. Third, and this is so important for whipping discouragement, find the good side in every situation.
Even in defeat.
Even then, a problem is unsolvable only when you think it is unsolvable. You attract solutions by truly believing they are possible. When you hit a snag, take a mental break. Listen to music, go for a walk, take a nap to get refreshed, and allow your subconscious to work.
He recounts the engineer who took a 72-hour out-of-town vacation just to solve a persistent problem that he couldn't crack at his desk.
And the man who saw being fired from his job as a blessing in disguise because it led him to a better, more enjoyable career path. You truly see in any situation what you expect to see. Find the good side.
Okay, our final major section focuses on charting your course, setting powerful goals, and leading effectively. The core idea, which resonates so deeply, is the important thing is not where you were or where you are, but where you want to get.
Goals provide indispensable direction, energy, and purpose, much like successful corporations meticulously plan 10-15 years ahead. Many people, Schwartz observes, simply drift through life because they don't have a clear destination.
He tells the story of F.B., a young man who couldn't find a job because he simply didn't know what he wanted. He needed to define his image of yourself 10 years from now.
And the idea of a concrete home goal, like a country estate with a fish pond, didn't just motivate its creator, it provided a tangible, exciting target. The actionable step here for you is to surrender yourself to your desires. What do you really want from your work, home life, social interactions? Don't hold back.
And here's a critical insight when you're defining those desires.
Yeah.
Overcoming desire murder weapons. These are common excuses and internal roadblocks that actively kill ambition and dreams.
Things like self-deprecation, I lack brains, security-itis, prioritizing perceived safety over genuine growth, parental dictation, living someone else's dream for you, and family responsibility. I can't change now that I have a family.
Schwartz argues these are merely sophisticated justifications for inaction, allowing your dreams to quietly die.
Once you've clearly identified your desires, let your major goal be your automatic pilot. A deeply entrenched, clearly defined goal sinks into your subconscious mind, acting like an automatic pilot, constantly guiding your decisions and actions towards your objective.
He talks about Tom, whose goal of becoming a corporation vice president subtly guided his choices, from the suits he bought to how he navigated complex business conflicts.
Compare that with Jack, who simply flounders without a clear goal, easily distracted by every wind. A goal keeps you on course.
Next, set goals to get things done. Goals unleash immense power and literally make things happen.
The CRASH program to build the atomic bomb demonstrates how a defined, audacious goal can mobilize massive effort and resources. The deeper meaning here is the next mile principle. Progress is made one step at a time.
Don't be overwhelmed by the enormity of a goal. Eric Sevareid's powerful experience surviving that 140-mile jungle trek by focusing only on the next ridge, the next friendly village.
Or how he wrote a 250,000-word book and over 2,000 broadcasts by focusing only on the next paragraph or the next one perfectly exemplifies this. Break it down.
The actionable step for you is to adopt that next mile principle. Evaluate every task, no matter how small, by asking, will this help take me where I want to go? If the answer is yes, then press ahead.
And to break larger goals into manageable steps, build your 30-day improvement guide. Create a personal checklist for habits to acquire or break, ways to increase your value at work, improve your home life, sharpen your mind.
Things like reading professional magazines, self-help books, making new friends, or dedicating time to daily quiet thinking.
It's also incredibly important to take detours in stride. Unforeseen obstacles, that road closed sign, are absolutely inevitable in life.
But a detour simply means another route, not abandoning your ultimate destination.
Exactly. Military leaders always have alternative plans. Pilots have alternative landing fields. Successful people embrace detours without ever changing their ultimate goals. The path might shift, but the destination remains fixed.
And finally, a key piece of advice that underpins all long-term success. Invest in yourself.
Schwartz argues this is the biggest and most rewarding kind of investment, one that leads to extra reward far beyond a normal income. The actionable steps include, first, investing in education.
True education, he says, is about competency, not just diplomas or memorizing facts. Focus on building your mind and increasing your proficiency.
He gives examples of GE's outstanding presidents who had no college degrees but possessed immense applied competency. Also, invest in idea starters. Regularly purchase stimulating books and subscribe to idea-rich magazines or journals.
Tune into the best thinkers available, those who spark new connections in your mind.
The cost of these, he emphasizes, is minimal compared to the immense profit gained from the constant flow of new ideas and an expanded perspective. It's about feeding your mind with the right fuel.
Okay. Goals set, investing in ourselves. Now, for our final critical principle, how to think like a leader. This is pivotal because leaders are, in essence, lifted to success by the support of those around and below them.
And leadership, the book states, is not some mystical, inherited quality, but a set of highly practical principles that anyone can learn and apply.
The first of these 4 leadership rules is to trade minds with the people you want to influence. This is such a powerful empathy hack.
It really is. To effectively influence others, you must see things through their eyes and genuinely understand their perspective, their interests, their desires.
He tells the story of Ted B., the TV copywriter, who failed to create effective children's shoe commercials because he designed them for his sophisticated adult taste, not for the average parent or child.
And Joan, the assistant buyer, failed in retailing because she couldn't see clothing through the eyes of low to middle income people, her target market.
Think about the political candidate who lost because his vocabulary was completely inaccessible to most voters, unlike his opponent, who skillfully used language familiar to different groups.
Or the electronics manufacturer who failed to sell a never-blowout fuse to the mass market because the executive thought from his high-income perspective, failing to grasp the average consumer's desire for cheap, easily replaceable fuses.
The actionable step for you is clear. Before trying to influence someone, ask yourself, what would I think of this if I exchanged places with the other person?
Then, crucially, act on that understanding. The second rule for leading effectively is to think, what is the human way to handle this?
Avoid being a cold dictator or an impersonal efficiency expert.
Right. True leaders treat people as human beings, not as cogs in a machine. This fosters deep loyalty and maximizes their energy and contribution. He tells the story of John S., an engineering executive who absolutely embodied the be human approach.
He helped new employees find housing, organized office birthday parties, accommodated religious holidays, provided support when employees or their families were ill.
His most impressive act was handling a dismissal by helping the employee relocate before departure, building immense job security and fierce loyalty within his entire department.
And Bob W., a self-made millionaire and manufacturing plant owner, remembered his own struggles. He handled an employee's drinking problem not with punishment, but by showing compassion and trust,
Earning such fierce loyalty that it even extended to supporting him during difficult union negotiations. The actionable steps for you: show genuine interest in subordinates' off-the-job accomplishments. Treat everyone with dignity and respect. Practice praising people and consistently rub people the right way. Actively avoid sarcasm, cynicism, and any impulse to put people in their place.
Third, think progress, believe in progress, and actively push for progress. Leaders are progressives who constantly ask, how can we do it better, and relentlessly seek higher standards.
Status quos are numerous, but as Schwartz points out, they rarely lead. The actionable steps for you are to continually think improvement and think high standards, continuously raising your personal standards for both the quantity and quality of your output.
The selection of a new sales manager perfectly demonstrated this. The candidate who constantly generated ideas for improvement and higher standards was the clear choice, despite others having similar raw sales performance.
The deeper meaning here, which is so profound for anyone in a leadership role, is that subordinates tend to become carbon copies of their chief. Your actions, your attitudes, your standards directly influence those around you, whether you intend them to or not.
So use the, what kind of world or company would this be if everyone in it were just like me? Test.
Think, talk, act, and live the way you want others to. Be the example you wish to see. And finally, the fourth rule for leading effectively: take time out to confer with yourself and tap your supreme thinking power.
Effective leaders, despite their often packed schedules, dedicate significant, often sacred time to what Schwartz calls managed solitude, uninterrupted thinking.
Solitude, he argues, is essential for putting problems together, for working out solutions, and for gaining profound self-understanding. Decisions made in solitude have an uncanny way of being 100% right.
Those who avoid solitude, who are constantly busy or distracted, tend to grow shallow and make ill-considered moves.
Great religious figures like Moses and Jesus, political leaders like Roosevelt and Truman, all utilize solitude for deep insight. Business executives, despite busy schedules, make time for uninterrupted thought.
An experiment with 13 trainees reported solving personal and work problems and gaining significant self-understanding after just 2 weeks of daily managed solitude.
The actionable step for you: schedule daily time for quiet, uninterrupted reflection. Ask yourself, how can I do better? What should be my next move? Remember, the main job of the leader is thinking, and the best preparation for leadership is thinking.
Wow. We've taken quite a journey, a deep dive into the magic of thinking big, uncovering how your belief shapes your reality, how to banish those excuses that hold you back, build unshakable confidence.
Unleash truly creative solutions, master your environment to empower you, make your attitudes your most powerful allies.
Think right toward people to build influence. Get that indispensable action habit. Turn any defeat into a new victory. Use clear goals to help you grow. And finally, think and act like a leader.
Every single principle, every anecdote we shared today points to one profound, undeniable truth. The size of your success is directly proportional to the size of your thinking.
It really boils down to that.
But this isn't just theory for you to admire. It's a meticulously practical blueprint for your life. The real magic, the true transformation, happens not when you understand these lessons, but when you actually implement them.
Right. The understanding is step one. The doing's where the magic happens. So don't let these powerful insights remain just interesting ideas in your head.
Please don't. Pick just one small, actionable step from today's deep dive. Maybe one new habit to acquire, one old excuse you're ready to finally discard, or one aspect of your environment where you'll consciously choose to go first class.
Start now, right now, to discover how your thinking can truly make magic for you. As the philosopher Disraeli put it, Life is too short to be little.
Great quote.
So, what mountain will you begin to move today simply by believing you can? What impossible will you strike from your vocabulary and replace with creative action?